Hi, good afternoon, everybody. This is such a wonderful celebration of the women in Pittsburgh and the sisterhood of Pittsburgh. We are celebrating all of these absolutely amazing, amazing women for doing what? For supporting all of you. And all of you, 900 people strong, have come to do what? To support all of them here today. So this is a picture of the amazing power of the sisterhood of Pittsburgh. And I am reminded briefly, how many of you were at the United Way Women's Leadership event last week? How many of you were there? Give me a. I'm reminded of the amazing speaker who came to that, a woman named Glennon Melton. And she described a concept in carpentry called sister joists, where there's a joist, right? We were just talking about this, there's a joist in the ceiling. And when the joist in the ceiling gets a little bit weakened, the carpenters come in and they bolt another one on right next to it. And what's that called? A sister joist. And if the beam is really weak, they bolt one onto the other side. And that's also called a twin sister joist. And so we are all here today, using Glennon's words, as sister joists for one another, to celebrate the power of the women in this city to help each other and to help their community in ways that are just almost unimaginable. So I thank you for all being here to be a part of that process today. And I'm particularly pleased to see men in increasing numbers in the room and on the dais, because, you know, we've been told for years that brotherhood's a generic term, right? Well, gentlemen, sisterhood's a generic term too, so welcome to the party. Okay, it is now my pleasure, without any further ado, on behalf of the Allegheny Conference on Community Development, on behalf of ATHENA International and all of our sponsors, it is truly my privilege to present to you the 2014 ATHENA Award winner, Diane Holder.
Whoa, thank you. It's really a tremendous honor, especially when I look around at the women on this stage and know the incredible accomplishments that they've had, and really just feel very, very honored to be able to stand here today and represent you. So thank you. I'd like to thank the committee. I'd like to thank the chamber. You guys have done a tremendous job over the years making this a very visible event for women, and for really being able to laud all the special talents we have here in Pittsburgh and make it very visible. I'd also like to thank my husband, who has been my best cheerleader since we were in college together, and my kids, Nancy and Elizabeth and Jonathan. You can wave. I'd like to thank my work family, my good friends, my colleagues, and all the other people who have come here today to recognize all of us. Because I think that one of the things that I certainly have learned in life is that there's almost nothing worthwhile you can do by yourself. And really, it's only when you can do it together that it actually matters. And I have had the incredible good fortune and blessing to not only have an incredible family at home, but an incredible family at UPMC. So I thank you. We were all asked to prepare some remarks related to ATHENA, and the question I thought was interesting, at least as I interpreted it, which was to ask what in the community could be done that could help women succeed further. Are there some changes or some ideas that you would make? And I, of course, have some opinions on this, so I thought I would share just a couple of them with you. You know, I came of age at the time that some people would call the second wave of feminism. And like all of us, I was very impacted by my coming-of-age years. It was a time when there was war and civil rights activities. There were a lot of major issues dividing generations. And I was married young. I had my kids in college, my first two anyway, in college and graduate school. And I was really trying to think through what mattered to me, what was important to do. And I wasn't running or had any concept that I would ever run large insurance companies in those days. You told me that, I would have said that's absolutely ludicrous. I have no interest in that. What I was interested in early on was working with families and kids and trying to understand what helped families and children. And I was really fortunate to have incredible mentors back then. And in 1985, a group of professional women decided they would write a book on women and families. And I was invited to write the chapter called Women Work in the Family. And so I sat about, busy, looking at all the things that I thought I knew about that. And one of the things that was accurate in those days was that women at that point made 68 cents for every dollar that a man made. And they were still doing most of the household work, whether they were working out of the home or not. And fortunately, lots have changed since those days. And now women make 77 cents for every dollar that men make. And they only do twice the amount of the household tasks that they did in those days. So there's a lot that's changed. So my first suggestion regarding how to facilitate women in leadership would be to examine strategies for pay equity and look critically at corporate policies and culture. We know that this is not something that happens later in your career. It's actually when you first leave college. If you look at the studies of kids who are leaving college today, men and women, and they have the same degrees, they go into the same workforce, women make 7% less. Women, until they're about age 35, they run about 90% of what men make. And after 35, it drops significantly to 75 to 80%, in part because somebody has to have children, somebody raises children, somebody makes decisions how they will split their time. And it's interesting, one of the recent government studies indicated that for every child a woman has, she has about a 2.5% wage depression, and men have about a 2% increase. So it's a very interesting thing when you look over the course of the lifetime what women earn. Essentially, you're really talking about on-ramps and off-ramps. And one of the things that's really great is that many corporations around the country now are really looking very systematically at on-ramps and off-ramps. And what can we do to actually reward and encourage women who, if they've decided that they need to take some time with their families or do whatever they need to do, which is perfectly reasonable, are there still ways for them to do the kinds of work they want to do and be paid for it? So I think one of the things I would say that could help women is really looking at those very early career decisions and how do you find the right mentors. I was really lucky. I had mentors that were terrific. I had male mentors and I had a lot of women mentors that were great. And I would argue that one of the most important things all of us can do when we're looking at the young women around us or the young men around us is to listen. Because I think one of the most critical leadership skills is listening, and I think it means listening deeply. So, and I think the last thing I want to say today about what I think could be really important in our community is I think it would be really important to begin to be able to surface the women who are our heroes. I think ATHENA helps to try to do that for us. I met this amazing woman last year. Actually, Chatham University brought her in as part of the Women Encourage Awards. And she was a physician from Nigeria. She had been imprisoned like 30 times, one within 24 hours after her daughter was born. And one of the things that she talked about, which just has really stuck with me since I've met her, is she described women, and she said, of all the terrorism that's happening in Nigeria, that women will be what fixes the problem. And I was sort of trying to figure that out. And she said, women are the lubricant and the live wire of change. And that has just really stuck with me. I mean, it's a phrase that goes over and over in my head. And when I look around, I actually think it applies to a lot. I look at the women in Pittsburgh who are leading the domestic violence fights. I look at the women who are trying to organize how our parks can be better, our rivers can be better. How do we handle food insecurity? What are the things we're doing in cancer research? How do we change law and medicine and technology and science? What do we do as women to do that? And I think we have tremendous unsung heroes here, and I think that one of the things we can do is kind of look at that more closely and try to really help and figure out how to better their causes and how to better all of us together. And then I think lastly, maybe we could get some of them to run for political office, because I think that we need women's talents and capabilities from the Senate to the House through the City Council in Pittsburgh. So those of you who are young enough out there that want to do that, raise your hand and think about it as a future opportunity. Thank you.